So tonight's topic is a comfortable retirement. So in the 1960s and 70s, when John and I were college students, and then later when John started his career at 3M Company, people tended to think of retirement as a time to trade in the office chair for the easy chair. So there's a couple of points about this presentation that I like to tell you. This presentation on retirement is based on John and Helen's nearly 20 years of retirement, and it is not to be taken as an advice. That's number one. Number two is that this is the first time John and I are doing a PowerPoint. So if our slides do not match exactly what my script is, then and you have questions, we can discuss that later, okay? So now we'll continue the topic of a comfortable retirement. And so I recall that in the late 1960s, our beloved chairman at the English department at Washington State University retired at age 65. Then 2 years later, he passed away. His wife outlived him by 2 years. So the couple had less than 5 years of retirement. They were not alone to have short retirement. Many of their peers did not enjoy long retirement either.
How to create a comfortable environment retirement.
So in the 1980s and 1990s, the US economy improved, healthcare improved, and life expectancy significantly lengthened. So we began to see the boom in senior communities and gated golf communities popular with retirees. Cruises became luxury hotels, holidays for retirees. Airplane travel became affordable to most retired Americans. And with generous pensions and the peace of mind provided by Medicare insurance, retirement years became the golden years, a dream for the 9-to-5 crowd and middle income population. All that wonderful retirement life seemed to stop in its track in early 2020 with the arrival of COVID and lockdown. With more than 1 year distracted by fear of disease, death, and financial disruption, the idea of a comfortable retirement seems to calm the mind, soothe the soul, and lift our spirits. So what is a comfortable retirement? It is for you to define for yourself as a stage of growth. You no longer have to take quizzes and tests in the classroom as in your adolescent years. You no longer have to climb your career ladder as in your 20s and your 30s. And there is no need to pay for your kids' college tuition as in the 40s and 50s. Now in your 60s, with some good planning, you are rewarded with 40 hours a week of precious time to spend as you please. You also have Social Security income and Medicare. If you're lucky, you may have a pension check or a 401k savings account, but no more paychecks. Remember that in the 1960s, a retirement generally only lasts a few years. So the perimeter for your retirement planning was predictable. In those years, retirement saving was like putting cash in a barrel and then scooping it out to enjoy retirement. As we enter into the 21st century, retirement planning has become quite complicated as more and more retirees are living to their 80s, 90s, and increasingly more are living to see their 100th birthday. Without a paycheck, how can you make the saving of your working years last 10, 20, even 30 years of retirement? The figuratively speaking barrel of savings does not work anymore. it becomes essential to have a healthy stream of cash flow where the source of inflow is continuous as the outflow is open-ended. What's the next one?
Okay, this one, maintain it.
So, so the different paths of growing your savings and your stream of growth is the usual taxable stock portfolio, number one. Number two, some real estate investment to hedge against inflation. So for instance, a condo rental or a townhouse, a single home, etc. Now, please note that timeshares are for pleasures, not for investment. So don't get confused by timeshare. So from experience and discussion with retired friends, there are two challenges that you must be considered and resolve in the preparation before retirement. That's finance and healthcare. So again, one may wish to divide the planning into two parts, your active years and the cocoon years. So active retirement would be the first 10 to 15 years of retirement until the late 70s and 80s of age. And the cocoon retirement would be the rest of the retirement. So we talk about finance first. Yeah, okay. So in the finance, you would, it would be, so finance, how do you maintain the stream of cash flow through the second and third decade of your retirement life, when a significant part of your initially comfortable monthly income would have lost their purchasing power due to inflation? So in the active years, you make the best use of the 40 free hours a week. Now that you're not tied down with going to work, you can take cruises, go on coach tours to Europe, play golf with your buddies, or go out to lunch. And you can be snowbirds to winter in Florida, Arizona, in warmer climates, read books. So life is good, but live within your means and still save a little for the later years. So save a little for the later years, okay? How can we grow our stream of cash flow while retired? It seems quite sensible to have two different pathways of growing our savings. One is to grow with the piggy bank stock portfolio. What does it mean? What do I mean by saying piggy bank stock portfolio? It means that from time to time, as you have extra cash, purchase steady growth stocks with dividend income. The second path is to have a piece of real estate investment to hedge against inflation. The property could be like a condo, townhouse, or a single rental. But if you do not want to invest in real estate, then talk to your financial consultant, and maybe you could buy some bonds instead. Now, if you want to buy bonds, then there's something to be careful about. If you wish to invest in bond, be sure to invest in individual bonds. You buy the bond because these individual bonds have a maturity date, and you can get back your principal at that date. Now, if with mutual fund, you can buy also mutual fund bond fund, but that's something that I don't do, okay? Because mutual fund, the bond funds, have no maturity date, and you could lose money if the interest rate go up and the price of the bond fund goes down. So in today's low interest rate environment, the rate would more likely to go up and then down. So it would be wise to buy short-term bonds and not the long-term bonds. The benefit of the two paths that we talked about, the one with the stock would give you liquidity, while the rental would be a hedge against inflation. Those two paths, if you start in your active retirement years, would likely be valuable in the later years. So we talk about, the next one we want to talk about is healthcare. So with the health care, the first thing you want to be sure is that would you be eligible to have Medicare when you retire? So even with the Medicare, if you're eligible for Medicare, there is still a 20% gap that you need to purchase your supplemental insurance to cover. Please think carefully on how much you need to prepare for retirement health care, especially for the later years of retirement, when naturally people are more prone to serious disease as you get older. I call the later retirement year the cocoon years. Cocoon is a term that usually means that you like to stay at home and be you don't get around too much anymore. It's more a retiring in place. Okay. I call them the cocoon years because by then the retirees should have done the traveling, etc., that they had so wished for when they first retire. So if the retiree had already toured Europe 5 times and he had already taken Alaska cruises 3 times, perhaps all he wants to do is to stay home and watch movies or have a board game with friends. Some older retirees may develop disability and travel is no longer an option. But as long as your finance and healthcare plans are still functioning well, the cocoon years can also be golden years. So what's the next one? What's the next slide? Next slide.
Still, as long as finance.
There's some more.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there's some more.
Yeah.
还有啊，
Go, 还有 okay.
还有啊。So so there are other things, there are other consideration in your retirement years too. You have to make sure that you update your trust, your disability and medical directive. Your lawyer could do that. Make sure your family, most important, make sure your family home is held in your revocable living trust so that it does not get involved with probate. If one of the two of the couple passed away. And then be sure to have your power of attorney for finance. So even if you're temporarily not able to sign your name, there'll be somebody to take care of that for you with the power of attorney document. And then make sure that your financial accounts, like your bank account, your brokerage account, they have the proper beneficiary forms. So other retirement issues, where is the good place to retire? So that depends on who you wish to spend time with. If you wish to bond with your grandchildren, you need to live near them and spend time with them while they are little. So if you only spend 3 weekends a year with your grandchildren, it is unlikely that they will be close to you when they grow up. Quite a few of John's 3M colleagues retired to Arizona in their active retirement years, only to come back to Minnesota for their cocoon years. Why, you may ask? Often they say they came home to Minnesota because of the family they left behind. Also, they came home for the good health care in Minnesota. Sometimes they come home because they miss the fishing or the season in Minnesota. However, with our Chinese friends, most retirees wish to retire to California, and they stay in California for their family, for the good food, and for the good weather. So there are also a few miscellaneous concerns that our retiree friends ask. They wish to know if they should best stay in their own home and just hire home care people to help them, or should they go to senior community? This is not only a question of personal preference, but one that you have to take your long-term health condition into consideration. We cannot always demand our children to take care of us as we grow older. So there may come a time when we have to go to assisted living. In that case, do the research, find yourself a community with a good reputation and has a good, friendly culture that you would like.
讲你的 cooking. Okay.
So a few, just some miscellaneous item. A couple of things that I do that I like in my retirement. On Saturday mornings, I like to watch the cooking lessons because it's very relaxing to see all that good food. And there are 4 different chefs that I like a lot. So I used to watch Ming Tsai, simply Ming, the Chinese cooking, because it actually educate me as to how to do some of the good dishes, and I always feel very happy to watch the wonderful food. And then the other one is the Jack Pepin, the French cooking. And Jack Pepin always bring his daughter and his granddaughter to come and help him, and the French cooking is very interesting. And then my favorite is Lydia. Lydia's Italian cooking. And I always think that Italian cooking is a little bit like the Chinese cooking. There's a lot of spice, a lot of fun, a lot of family. Then the other one that is very interesting is Sarah's Weeknight Food. And that's always very good. How can you prepare a very easy, good, nutritious food for the weeknights? So that's one thing that I like a lot. Then we'll close this discussion with my favorite activity, and that is my book club friends. The book club is actually a neighborhood book club. So we call them the villages, and it's mostly just for the Norfolk families. And most of the people in my book club are actually retired teachers. And we select the books for 1 year. We put our ballots, and there's the coordinator for that year, and then we have a schedule for 1 whole year. And then we would meet every month, and we start about every Tuesday, first Tuesday of the month we would meet, and we would start the meeting at 9:45. We have 15 minutes. When we have in-person meeting, we're at somebody's house, and the 15 minutes was always a social. We get our coffee, our goodies, and then we settle down to discuss the books for about an hour and a half. And then after that, it's also time to catch up with your friends a little bit before you go home. And sometimes the members invite some select authors to come and talk to us too. So once in a while, there's also a special session with a special book where the spouse are invited. And so we get to meet their family too. So now for this year of COVID, we've been doing it on Zoom meeting. And then starting this month, we've been out in somebody's parking lot or in their garage, and we have an outdoor meeting now. So we're all looking forward to the personal meeting of the in-person, the one that we are in person, and we could go to each other's houses and have fun. So conclusion, with the good planning and some good luck, retirement could be one of the best stages of our life. Okay, so good luck to everybody, and when it's your retirement year, happy retirement. Now John is going to tell you about his retirement activities.
Okay, I have about 10-15 minutes. The first to show my work experience in 3M company, about 35 years, almost 35 years. And then go to the next one here. The one thing I did about after retirement, I began writing for different magazines. These are the number of magazines and newspapers. and I published a couple of books there. It's quite fun. After publishing so many articles, I was able to assemble into a couple of books. It's quite interesting. Next one, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the, let me see. I learned a little bit about calligraphy in Chinese. And then this, my bedroom, I post with all the Chinese calligraphy for my children. When they come, they will love to see it. This is my one, and then I have some other things. Well, I like to tell you a little bit about the investment. Between Helen and I, we have attended several very interesting programs. Number one is Wall Street Week. I don't know, can we see this? Is all? Can you see them all? Yeah. Wall Street Week by Louis Brookhiser. It's one of the well-known orators, and he talked about every Friday evening, spend 1 hour talk about investment, where and the market, by learning that, I learned something about the different terms about the start investing, and then after that we also attend he organized a big conference seminars. We paid the seminar to Las Vegas, so we attend about 4 or 5 times with our family and our extended family and some friends. They travel from California and from Minnesota, and we learned something in depth. It is about close to 3,000 or 4,000 people coming from all over the country to attend this seminar. Helen organized this thing, so that's where we learned about investing on stock, and so it's quite interesting. And now he passed away in 2002, so we haven't heard about this one. So that's our beginning learning how to do the investing. Then after that, we begin attending Berkshire Hathaway shareholder meeting, beginning 2007. I attend between Helen and I, we attend about 5, 6 times to Omaha, Nebraska. This is a huge shareholder meeting, close to about 25,000 in the auditorium, and plus another overflow. So it's quite interesting because you learn all about this. Is 5 hours of seminar. Basically, you talk about Berkshire Hathaway's investments philosophy, asking about how and where to invest to. And in the last 5 years, they've been using web meetings. So I didn't go to Omaha now, but we are using the internet to learn about what's going on. It's quite interesting. So I learned something about Warren Buffett's investment philosophy called value investing. Now, what is value investing? Basically, it just tells us, study all the past performance and project the future. It's very difficult to pick a really good stock. But from those seminar experience, I find two tricks I'd like to share with you. The first one is business technology that you know better. The other one is invest in a city or place that you know well. So based on those two, I give you an example here. Like in Minnesota, I just picked those 5, 6 of them. 3M company, 3M paid dividend for the last 100 years, every year, never missed once. So 3M is good stock. Honeywell is another good company. Target is phenomenal in the last 3 years. The department store is doing very well. And of course, we have Best Buy, United Health, and the small company called Eco Laboratory. They are making for the COVID-19 or the disinfection stuff. And that was one of the largest shareholding invested by Bill Gates, built the Eco Lab. I didn't know anything about this until recent months. That was one of the best ones. So anyway, so these are the 6 stocks. I just picked them up, so you know all of them. Many of your children, second generation, who work in the United Health or in one of those companies. So this is one group we call the invest in a corporation that in your city. Okay. Second, I would say that invest in the technology that you know well. For example, Apple. Beginning 2001, I began buying iPod and iPad and iPhones. I had about 10 to maybe 10 to 12 different equipments, and I'm still using. Even today, the very first iPod still working very well. So I think Apple is a very good company. Of course, then we all know about Facebook, Google, Amazon.com, Microsoft, Netflix. This one I get away. I wouldn't invest, but it's very, very successful. It's in Silicon Valley. And then the other three, we all know about Costco, Walmart, Home Depot. We all familiar with them, and they are really, really good, very successful. Although all the stocks I mentioned, they are all something easy to understand. You know how you use them. So I think something like that, I encourage you to take a look. Now, next one. After I retire, I met some of my friends from 3M or from other connections. I find out some of them undertake a new venture. And Helen and I visited Dallas. In Dallas, one of my 3M colleagues, actually is my boss. He retired from 3M and then moved to Dallas. That was his hometown. And then we had a dinner together, and then he told me that his wife told me immediately. He lost $150,000 on a new venture. He didn't even know what's going on. He already lost $150,000. And they are very thrifty. I couldn't believe that he just gave away $150,000 to do something new. And I have some friends that try to have an open coffee shop, fast food franchise. It's very difficult to do. Not easy to start a new job if you start from corporation. So it is not easy to be successful. So think twice if you want to invest in something new. Let me see another one. Oh, how much money one needs. And I try to come up with a number. I really don't. I think because every family is different. So it maybe start from $500,000 to several $1 million, but really depends on where do you live, what kind of home you have, how many homes you got, and so on. You want for rental, and so really don't know how much you need, but we just have to have your own thinking. Yeah. Next one. Oh, I think that's it. That's all we have, and we ended it. Open for questions. Yeah. Helen can answer you some questions. Yeah. Okay. Now open discussion.
请大家如果有问题的呢，你自己呢就 unmute， 你把你自己的麦克风打开，然后问问题好吗？谢谢。
Stop sharing. Okay, stop sharing. Okay.
We can speak Chinese.
Yeah. Okay. We can speak in Chinese. Okay. Okay.
我先来问一个问题好了。我还没准备退休啦，但是呢，我倒是有一点担心我们现在的这个hyperinflation is going to take place。那你知道这2-3个月以来呢，这个建材这个像steel lumbers 然后那个像钉子铁这些，然后那个 drywall 全部都是 double and triple，some of them 400% of increase in price already。这是从3个月前到现在，那当然就会带动很多东西都会涨价嘛。我前2个礼拜前呢，刚刚回明州的时候，去那个国水买这个organic strawberries， 那以前一盒都是8块钱 ，OK， 7块9毛9，那这一次我买的时候是12块9毛9。所以我们已经看到 hyperinflation 的，你们有没有这样的想法，或者说你们有没有怎么样的 strategies 我们现在看到这个物价膨胀已经很大了，已经开始在发生了。那你们的 strategy 是怎么样呢？
OK， 从我的看法是这样，有2个方面，一个是 consumer product， 一个是 industrial product。那这个我先讲 industrial product， 现在很多东西是因为 inflation 高，是因为过去1年多因为 COVID-19 的关系。你们听得见我讲话吗？ Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
可以的。
Yes.
哦，看得见
Very good.
OK
Thank you.
OK， 那个因为这个过去1年半来，工业界 industry 没有投资在这个设备，因为很多设备需要更新啊，要 maintenance 啊，或者好的 skill people 来 work。So as the result of that， 所以很多工厂呢，它没有 enough supply 的 spare parts 做。所以 one of the reason 就是这个工厂不能开工。另外一个原因就是因为这个大家为了准备这个要准备这个材料呢，要很多运输的设备。那现在运输的设备也因为受港口的拥挤，就不能进去。我知道，美国最大的那个港口是 Long Beach， 在 LA 的 Long Beach。Long Beach 那个我前几年去参加过，那里以前呢，亚洲来的货轮呢，就不停的进来，有时候外面有30几个轮，货轮都进不去，都不能unload。最近也是一样，最近我去看了报纸等，都没有办法unload，所以那个货运过来美国，很多是亚洲来的。那我知道 San Francisco 也有一个货轮很大，在 Oakland 也是他从来没有这么多的，就是说他的货没有办法卸，或者他是 record high 的那个 cargo shipment。那我知道这2个港口，我知道纽约大概也是一样的，它都，所以第一个货源不够。那另外是民生的，那现在这个我们吃的东西很多是南美来，我买的水果大部分都是南美来的，但是南美现在也有疫情啊什么的，运货也麻烦了。Costco 里面东西很多都是南美来的 ，banana、fruit 啊、vegetable、Mexico 来的很多，所以这个也是个问题。所以我想有疫情的关系，再加上这些，我想应该慢慢可以希望能够慢慢减少吧。Consumer product 我是不知道了，我没有注意买菜的东西，所以这还不知道怎么样。但是我知道我们最近要修 deck， 那个木材听说要贵100倍，什么不是4倍木材
400% yes，
要400%，因为要木头那个 wood lumber。那所以那个盖房子的材料也还有困难，因为美国很多材料从木材是从加拿大来，那加拿大现在跟美国有关税的问题，搞得不清不楚，所以也有问题。So anyway， 就知道我就说会有影响，我想大概过一段时间就好了，我不知道就是了。
所以你觉得这是 temporary？
我觉得是 temporary。
OK，
大家都要大家都要输入到美国很大的 consumer。
所以你觉得这个你还没有想到 strategies 吗？如果说不是 temporary 的时候，你有什么应对的方法吗？
那个你现在是因为我 OK， 你讲。我是觉得，因为我是对这个买菜啊，什么买东西，这个不那么重要，因为我吃不了什么多少东西嘛，所以没有什么大的关系。餐馆我就不知道有没有什么带到，就主要是看你投资的股票你要怎么样，是 very sensitive， 材料 sensitive，material sensitive， 还是 labor sensitive， 还是 the source critical components sensitive。我的儿子他想买一个 Toyota 的车子，在加州，结果他告诉我他现在买不到车子了，要 waiting 要等多久啊？车子要等好几个月才能买到车子。那里面不知道什么原因，那有人是说里面没有 chip， 那我也不知道什么原因。反正是你有很大的 purchase 的话，是要考虑一下啊。
对
So 那个木材哈，那个 lumber 我听到是 partly 就是玩家不要讲的这些问题，还有一个问题就是那个有很多 lumber 都是那个加拿大出来的， 那加拿大前2年这几年有一个 beetle 还是什么东西，把那个木材都吃坏掉了，所以有一个那个木材的产量就减少了，所以这个东西就现在就不知道是怎么样，他们这个就是真是个天灾了。说没有人知道这个number 是怎么样。那现在我听到的就是说，有好多那些 builder， 他们就说希望这个shortage 是那个 temporary， 所以他们有很多人他就不是一定的话，他就慢一点才开始 building 了，他们就暂时说不要去买，因为那个他们说最近那个 number 是 up 4 times， 所以是因为一个房子里面有的很多的那个cost 都是 lumber， 所以有些人就说你再等一下，看了那个 price 会不会stabilize。那 that's one thing. The other thing is 我想这种 hyperinflation， 就是真的是你如果去买菜啊买东西，你都会知道，就是很厉害，那个 food 很厉害，所以那个穷的人是很辛苦了。OK。So 其他的东西就是说，可能希望这个 COVID 会 subside， 那就会比较好的多了。希望别的国家也 come down 的时候，那大家 eventually 会比较 normal。现在的东西有很多东西都不是 normal 的，都是东西买不到啊，什么很多这个 challenges。那你的 strategy 是什么呢？我想这个只是说，我也不是那个economist， 我想就是我们就是这个持家的这个我们是 manage household 的那个 common sense， 就是可能不要乱动吧。如果你不需要去买个新房子，也许你要再考虑一下。你现在可能那个有很多地方的 economy 虽然不好，的房子卖得很快，卖得很贵，大家都有点人心惶惶的，觉得说今天不买房子，那等一下明年更贵了。那你这个就要好好考虑一下。那如果你要买这个房子的话，你说我的孩子刚刚成家了，要买房子，一定要买房子不可。那你这样子的话，你要去买的时候，你就要记得，你不要把所有的钱都拿去做 down payment， 你一定的 down payment 要少一点，要存一点那个钱在手上，你可以付这个 monthly 的 mortgage at least for 1年2年，因为你如果你把钱通通都放进 down payment 的话，那手上没钱的话，那万一你有什么 job 不顺利啊什么，那你就马上 get into trouble。So 这个东西是 common sense 了啊 ，OK， 那我就觉得我们好像说1年多都没有去店里面买新衣服啊，什么东西，这些 discretionary 的东西，大家都可以自己小心一点就好了。你还是可以去买你喜欢的衣服，也许你平常你要买10件的话，你现在买个3件就好。Okay, you still can enjoy yourself. Okay, 还好你要出去吃饭也可以，也许都少一点，在自己家里多做一点，这些都是我们的平常family management budget management 的大家都我们中国人大家的太太都很会管理的钱的，所以 we don't have to worry too much about it, huh? For now anyway.
谢谢你们的回答。那如果也有别的来宾有问题的话，你可以现在发问。谢谢。
我有个问题啊，我有个问题。那个可以听到我讲话吗？
可以
啊。就是你刚刚那个 slide 说，现在人的寿命都很长，退休后就可以活到几十个2-3个 decades， 20-30年。就说现在过这个20-30年间啊，你像这个人，大家每个人都希望说能够活得久，但最重要的是活得久要活得健康，对不对？你活得不健康，你活得再久都没用。然后后面10年、15年躺在床上不能动， 那就这个生活就完全没意义了。那就不是那个，就说那种生活就就没有品质了，没有生活品质了。所以这样的话，就说你在退休的时候，你怎么样维持健康的身体？让你啊不要仍然可以逍遥到处去啊做你想做的事情啊，这很重要。我觉得这比较更重要，比那钱啊什么东西更重要。我觉得对不对？
对。
呀，对呀，对，这个我想大家都我们很不幸的，我们这个陈教授，我们的顾问陈为陈教授过世了，他大概87岁吧，87岁。那他今天这个礼拜他的太太，他因为住在这里嘛，他们住在这里，他的儿女啊把他接去San Francisco， 他儿子是医生，他要搬去那边，他儿子可以就近照顾他。他也是一个，他因为他得了 COVID 过世的，我没有以前他就 anyway 就很不幸他过世了，88岁，那也是一个可以说这个也算是很高寿的了。当然我们也很多人也是90、100的也有了，等等，所以很难讲了。我是 Helen 买了一本书，很厚一本书，我要跟大家看，这个叫 Mayo Clinic 做的一本书，他买了，我等一下拿来看看。你可以讲，我就把那个书拿
来看啊，这
cover 一下，你这样讲一讲关于 healthcare 的。
那李子乾，我们人生就是这样子啦，有很多东西你都不能够 predictable，OK？那 what you do is that you do the best you can. You have your good healthy habits. 你去你的做你的有什么事就去看好的医生。So anyway，你就是只能够尽量的你就只能够尽量的 do the best. You have good healthy habits. And 我们大家在美国都还好了，都可以有很好的生活。那其他的有很多，就是我们都是中国人，我们就是说有些就是命了。Okay, so you have to do your part. You know, you have to live healthy and but the rest of it is that you have to keep a positive outlook. You think good thoughts, and you hope everything will work out. So 那是一个老年人的那个，实在是一个很大的问题，就是有些人到老了，他们有很多 disability， 然后就不能过很好的生活。现在还是这样子，就是说医学还没有到说你可以活得老了，但是你一定很 healthy，but you can do your part to stay as healthy as you can。
我现在介绍这本书哈，这本书是 Helen 我们在 Mayo Clinic 去检查的时候，他的图书馆买到了，
叫做 Healthy Aging。Healthy Aging，
你们看得见吗？这个
它是版本。
Yes，
可
以看得见。
OK，
可以。
Mayo
Clinic 的 Healthy Aging。OK，
我随便翻一个，他这里面叫是你去做 flexibility， 做打太极拳啊什么，这里什么都有，这个大字典一样的。不错的，这是我看过的最简单的一个，它图片很多，告诉你，这 healthy aging 是个很大的问题，是很大的问题。
对，
那个你刚刚说的那个，我也听过这一方面的演讲，这个可以讲各种什么 vitamin K 啊，什么那新的 genetic 的 recomposition 啊，可以长生不老。现在 Silicon Valley 有几个大的公司啊，他们做这个 aging 的 study， 有 research。花了很多钱 ，Google 就花很多钱做这一方面的 research， 将来也许不知道会延长多少，所以我就不知道了。不过反正很多人在做这个 research。
叶你要开始吗？
我刚刚是因为我们刚刚谈到健康的问题，那我是觉得 Helen 其实已经 touch on everything that eat healthy, live healthy, do whatever, do your best。最重要的是 positive outlook。And I think she did a really good summary. Those are the key factors. We need to keep active, but we need to do best. Just don't give up. But most importantly is the happy people live long. And I just remember my dad, 我的父亲是前年走了，那但是他就是一辈子都非常快乐，他活到90几岁。那我们想想看，为什么他能活得那么久？是因为他就是从来都能够非常的快乐。所以我是觉得说from 我 personal experience， 我是觉得说 positive outlook is so important. Just keep your, even if you cannot move, you still can have a positive outlook. Yeah. So anyway, thank you very much for the speakers. Thank you very much for whoever, for so many people participating in this seminar. 然后我要为我自己做一个广告，就是下一次呢是我当主讲人，然后呢，因为我是饮水，关于自来水就是公共给水的这方面的，可以讲就是说明州的专家，也是美国的专家之一。那所以呢，你就来问我，有什么问题都问我。那我甚至可以马上的跟你 share 我的就是卫生署我们是怎么收集数据，怎么保证饮水是安全的。